Hey YouTube, this is Steve from Average Joe's Fantasy Football, and we've got your Week 5 start and sit video for your upcoming season. We are going to talk about the running back position. Always full PPR, half PPR. If it is a standard league, hit us up in the comments down below and we'll be able to help you guys out with those questions because, again, it is a little different. There are 4 teams on a bye, so make sure you guys are paying attention to that. You got Browns, Bucks, Seahawks, and the Chargers. So some pretty decent running backs that are not going to be playing this week. So again, make sure you guys check out our waiver wire video if you guys have questions of who you should possibly pick up. And of course, pay attention to this start and sit to help you guys out. Now, this is your obvious start at the running back position. I don't have many backs here. These are the only backs I feel comfortable that really should be able to play and have a decent game, whether it's matchup or just usage. Now, the first running back I have as a recommended start, Brian Robinson Jr. versus the Bears. Now, this Thursday night game is not a game that a lot of people are excited for. And Bears do a pretty good job of keeping backs under 100 yards, but they struggle stopping them from scoring, allowing 8 touchdowns so far in the air or on the ground. Lowest point allowed so far was 17 points, and that was to Jerick McKinnon. They're allowing an average of 22 points to the running back. Robinson has been doing a really good job this season so far, and again, continue. And this is a game that the Commanders should be dominant in, that it's going to allow, again, Brian Robinson to run, be effective in the goal line, and really help Sam Howell out. I like Brian Robinson a lot this week. Another running back you should consider starting is going to be Devon Achane, and it's Achane. He made that very clear. He's going against the Giants this week. Giants are allowing 110 yards on the ground and averaging a touchdown as well to running backs. Achane is still the RB2 and not being used completely, but just had a 100-yard game on very little carries. It is ridiculous how explosive he is. He's fast. He looks really good. And right now, McDaniels has already said that he's going to start seeing more and more usage with this season coming up. This is a perfect game for him to really have a lot more success. Giants have not been great at stopping the run. Him and Mostert should do well. I'm not expecting Mostert to have an amazing game, but I do expect him to still be in your starting lineup just because of the opportunities. But Achane is definitely a running back you're going to play. Another running back you should play this week is Joe Mixon, and I know he burned you. He only put up about 8 points or so. But he's going against the Cardinals. Cardinals have allowed 48 points to Christian McCaffrey this past week. Prior to that, allowed Barkley 27 points. I think Tony Pollard had 15 points, and that was a game that the Cowboys struggled, didn't have their offensive line. So that's a really good matchup for Joe Mixon to be really coming back into his own. Cards have struggled stopping the run, allowing over 100 yards on the ground, but they're also allowing 6 receptions to the running back as well per game. Mixon definitely needs to be used a lot more. The fact that T. Higgins isn't playing is one less weapon for Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's still dealing with his injury. If the Bengals have any chance of beating the Cardinals, because this is a big game for them, they're going to have to put a lot of this on Joe Mixon, and I expect this is a nice little turnaround game for him. Now, another running back I have is Josh Jacobs versus the Packers. Jacobs just had his best game this season so far with 27 points, and that was with 8 receptions, which was huge. Now plays against a Packers team that just gave up 34 points to Montgomery with 3 touchdowns down at the goal line. Raiders should have Jimmy G back, which is definitely going to help this offense, whether it be for obviously Devontae Adams, Myers, and then of course Josh Jacobs, which is again what we're talking about here. He should see plenty of targets in the air. Packers are allowing 6 receptions a game to running backs as well. So really good turnaround. I think that 27-point game is not going to necessarily be where he's going to be, but I do think he's going to get to the 18-20 point range against this Packers team. Now, the last running back I'm going to mention is James Cook versus the Jaguars. Cook has been very consistent so far this season. He's been very effective in the red zone. He's shown his receiving ability. He's definitely looking really good in this offense. He should see some targets his way this game, but also some red zone action. Jags have been pretty good at keeping backs away from the goal line. They've only allowed 1 touchdown so far this season, but with the focal point going to be on Josh Allen, they're going to have to obviously try to stop him, whether it's being in the ground or whether through the air. And that's a game plan where I think James Cook takes advantage and gets 1 touchdown in this one. Now, I'm not expecting a 50-plus yard game for James Cook. I don't think he's going to be that effective. But again, he's going to get a touchdown, I think, in this one. At least 50 yards, 3 or 4 receptions. He's going to get you in those nice 16 to 18-point range. Now, as far as my sits, I have Kyren Williams versus the Eagles. Philly has kept backs under 50 yards on the ground and only 1 touchdown so far to them. Kyren hasn't been really efficient on the ground. If you just look at his numbers, he has not been very efficient. Where he has been able to take advantage in fantasy, which is all that we care about, is that he's getting touchdowns and lots of them. Eagles will be a team that has given up yards in the air, which I think is where I think the Rams are going to be the most effective because they're probably going to be playing behind. Stafford's going to have to take advantage of that. And because of that, if Philly really is going to be up, but they have kept games close, Kyren could be ineffective, not utilized properly. And again, if he can't get to the goal line, he is not going to be a back that's going to put up a lot of points. I'm really hesitant with him. You're probably starting him, but just look at other possible options. Another running back you should be sitting is Dameon Pierce versus the Falcons. Pierce hasn't been great, and most of the time Texans are playing from behind, which puts him in a bad matchup in most cases. And he's going against the Falcons, who actually, one thing they do, they've done a good job at stopping the run. They've only allowed about 90 yards on the ground, but only 3 receptions per game, and they have yet to allow a running back to score on the ground or in the air. Could this be a game that Pierce does? Maybe, but he hasn't looked really good. Stroud has looked amazing, and I think that's who is going to be really the one you should be playing. Stroud, Nico, maybe even Tank Dell. Pierce is definitely someone you should sit. Now, another running back you should be sitting this week is going to be Alexander Mattison. He's going against the Chiefs. Mattison has put up 95 yards last game. He's looked a lot better. He's been over 90 yards in 2 games so far, and each of them. But this matchup is actually going to be a challenging one. Kansas City defense has actually done a really good job this season holding backs to 78 yards on the ground and only 1 touchdown so far. And realistically, keeping running backs to 9.2 points a game. And that was against running backs like David Montgomery, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall. I mean, like pretty good running backs. I mean, Breece obviously is not effective yet, but and Madison is going to have to perform well because with the trade to Cam Akers is going to be somebody's going to be looking over his shoulder. But this is going to be a game that Kansas City is going to probably look really good against a really porous Vikings defense. Vikings are going to have to pass to try to keep up. Madison, unfortunately, is going to be the odd man out in this one. Another running back you should sit this week is going to be Zach Moss versus the Titans. What a tough matchup he has gotten this week. Titans have been great against running backs, keeping them to 9.7 points a game and only 57 yards on the ground. Moss has also been challenging and hasn't been as effective as you would like. And this is where I think the Titans are going to be really good at is they're not allowing receptions. They've only allowed 2 receptions per game. Realistically, the Titans are going to put this game in Anthony Richardson's hand, which I think is going to be a bad thing, but I think Colts can take advantage of that. This is a really tough matchup, and who knows what's going to happen to Jonathan Taylor. I know he says he doesn't want to play. He is back from PUP. He's supposed to start practicing. There's all that drama, and if, say, Jonathan Taylor plays, there's a good chance that Zach Moss just ends up being in a split carry. I'm considering sitting him for sure. Ramondre Stevenson's another running back I'm sitting this week. He's going against the Saints. Stevenson has not been great as where we would hope. Team has been using Zeke actually a lot more than we had anticipated. I know he was going to be some goal line work, but he's definitely getting some work even outside of the goal line. Offense doesn't look great right now, and realistically playing a Saints defense that is really tough against the run. They only allow 10 points a game and 67 yards on the ground. Stevenson's really been the most effective in the air, but again, Saints are only allowing 4 receptions per game, so this is a tough matchup, and this is going to be what's going to affect him the most. Stevenson's definitely somebody I should be really putting on the bench for sure. Now, my sleeper of the week is going to be Breece Hall versus the Broncos. If there was a game for Breece to finally look like himself, this should be it. Broncos have allowed 27 points a game to running backs, giving up 153 yards on the ground and 11 total touchdowns so far. That's 7 on the ground, 4 in the air. I mean, that's huge. Breece should be effective, and again, being a month into the season, he's only going to get healthier and become more and more like himself. So if this is going to be a game that's going to happen, this is it. Like, this is the game for Breece Hall. This is the perfect matchup. So again, that's a good one. Now, there could be other sleepers you could talk about. You could possibly talk about Dalvin Cook. I give this edge to Breece Hall. So that's my start, sit, and sleepers for the running back position for week 5. If you guys do have questions for your lineup, hit us up in the comments down below. We want to try to help you guys with all those lineups. Again, 4 teams are on a bye. Thursday night game. You got Bears, Commanders. Snooze fest, I get it, but there's some good plays in that one. And definitely players you should be looking at. And guys, if you haven't yet, check out our waivers. You guys should have already put your claims in, but check out that video as well to help you guys out. Check out our other start and sit videos so far. We've got the quarterback position to help you guys with that. If you guys have not already, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. We are going to be giving away a jersey of your choice if you win once we hit 1,000 subscribers, and we are about 20 subscribers away. So thank you guys so much for this amazing community. If you guys did enjoy the content, make sure you hit the like button, and I'll check you guys out next time.